You are about to see the progress I've made in 1 month of working on my 2.5D Roman strategy game. For now it's called Miles of Stone, and you can think of it as a mix between a unit-focused TFT-style auto-battler and a military tactics game. First, so you have some context, back in 2020 I attempted to make a game engine from scratch, with let's just say subpar coding skills. But eventually this process helped me learn C++, which then helped me switch to C# and Unity. As you can probably guess if you've ever watched a devlog, after this switch I began working on projects that were overly ambitious and lacked focus. But last year, I decided to focus on actually making a finished product, and just release it on any platform. I was finally able to finish Dashform, a pretty terrible fixed shooter style mobile game, but I was able to get it onto the App Store in 2024. With this next project, my goal is finding people that are also passionate about game dev, and developing this game in public. I will be regularly making devlogs like this one with a focus on feedback and playtesting. I've set up a Discord for anyone interested in future updates or providing feedback during my progress. I'm making this video now because some of the visual parts of the game are coming together. So far, I have a basic gameplay loop, with a road system and a combat system that I can go over in this video. But for example, the character management system is still bare bones. To give an overview of my vision for the game, I can start with my 3 core gameplay pillars. My first pillar is the theme of the Roman Empire. I think there's a lot of potential for a diverse set of units and colorful backdrops I can use while maintaining the gritty feel I'm going for. This theme also contains the larger roguelite elements of the game, which is an expanding road system you build outward from your starting base built using resources you gather along the way. I plan on you being able to sell weapons and armor for gold, stone, and wood that can be used for building roads and buying equipment. Like any roguelite, you will encounter merchants, resting areas, and holy men from different religious cults that can give you buffs. The next pillar of this game is the team management system. You should be able to build a team of units you find throughout your encounters and improve them one at a time, with the ultimate goal of making a synergistic party. I believe that one of the most satisfying parts of any game, whether it's competitive multiplayer or a single-player game, is good synergy, which is what I want to hone in on. To me, synergy is where every component of a team is hyper-specialized in its own role. Alone, while powerful, each role is not enough to accomplish what the team is set out to do. But when together, the overall emergent property of the team is efficacy. Synergistic teams are highly effective at accomplishing the allotted goal. I think this is the phase of development that will be the most difficult to make satisfying and balanced later down the line. Finding interesting but balanced synergy is what can make or break a game. To accomplish this, I plan on having multiple systems in place to improve each character individually, honing in on what makes them unique. Getting active feedback will make this part of development much more fun and effective. I plan for the player to be able to farm equipment and units from encounters it has already defeated with some interesting restrictions. For example, I plan on having a limited number of total re-entry tickets. This could force the player to think strategically and plan out what they will use their re-entry tickets for. They could prioritize farming for a certain type of equipment or a specific weapon. If you have any strategies or interesting character ideas, join my Discord or follow this channel to be part of future conversations. The final pillar of this game is interesting combat. While most auto-battlers have passive combat, where you don't interact with the characters, since this is a single-player game, watching your team fight would get stale quickly. Instead, I will have a strict hex-based combat arena where I will implement dodging and command mechanics. You will be able to move your characters out of the way from attacks from bosses or choose when they will use their special attack. Along with armor and weapons, they will have special attacks that give them the opportunity to contribute to the team based on their role, such as healing or CC. From a visual and thematic standpoint, this game will be set apart in that it will not have magic. This would meld well with some of the strategy elements I have planned. In Age of Empires, for example, there's a large counter system that I like. Essentially, ranged units do more damage to melee units do more damage to cavalry units, and cavalry units can run down and do more damage to ranged units. On top of this, there's the added complexity of armor, which makes unit variety and the counter system more dynamic. I think a similar system would go well with a historically inspired setting like mine. Let's talk about some cool development tricks I've learned in the past few years that make me ready for a game like this. For example, I've used modular programming as much as possible in this project. Essentially, modular programming is a design philosophy where a program is broken down into smaller, independent, and reusable parts. Each module performs a specific task, but it can be maintained separately. Connectors attach modules to each other to interact with other modules through well-defined interfaces, or in my game, managers. Key benefits of this method include reusability, of course, maintainability, which makes it easier to fix a module without affecting the whole system, and scalability, where new features can be added quickly based on needs. I've implemented modular programming into my attack system. I have a basic attack pattern that all characters use to attack every turn, but it allows for the addition of an alternative attack system when required. This is an entirely separate system that can be activated for special attacks that have different targeting systems or to do damage in an area. It even gives the ability to target certain hexes on the board. This modular system also matches well with the roguelite elements of the game. For example, I have implemented a modular enemy spawning mechanic, where I can choose to spawn enemies and equip them on hexes at random, adjusting spawn chances and frequency of items dynamically. Also, I can use scriptable object systems for character data, equipment data, buff data, and visual data. To limit the size of save files and utilize a more dynamic approach, map generation also needs to be modular, as maps need to be able to be remade according to a seed. Pathfinding is also an interesting topic I'd love to touch on. Rather than using an A-star algorithm that finds the hex the character ultimately aims to go to, I chose a step-by-step approach which chooses the next best hex, one by one, based on its weighting. This system is more dynamic and fits a battle with many individual components, each with its individual needs. To cover the art for the game, the style I chose is a 2.5D art style. In the past I've tried 3D, but 3D models are hard to animate well. And this is a middle ground between sprite-based art and a more realistic style. It lets me use 3D space, a great 2D lighting system with normal maps, and a sprite library component allowing me to switch easily between sprites. It also matches a more realistic theme while also keeping the art simple. And in closing, I'd like to briefly discuss what I'm planning to do next. I think the next priorities are the management system visuals, a character progression implementation, adding the ability to pay for roads, adding the oracles, temples, and shops, working on the starting area, adding a title screen, hurt and death animations, and polishing at least one boss fight with the goal of releasing a demo. And that'll be it for this devlog. I hope this gave you a good idea of what I imagine this game as. I'll continue to provide updates and have plans to post interesting technical videos and case studies. Please remember to follow me on Discord and YouTube for the moment, and hopefully I'll release a Steam page soon. Thanks for watching.